So in May, an article came out with Governor Kim Reynolds in Iowa stated the following: "For the first time in decades, I am proud to say that Iowa's net migration was a positive by more than 6,300 people. And while that might not sound like a lot, to put it in context, Minnesota saw a reduction of over 17,000 residents," end quote. It just goes to show that Iowa really is becoming more and more popular as of recently. For today's video, I did my best to come out with the most accurate list of the top 5 states people are moving to Iowa from. The websites I used are stacker.com, itrfoundation.org, and axios.com for my research. I combined this data from 2019 to 2021 to give you the best list I could have, the top 5 states moving to Iowa. As of now, this is the most up-to-date information out there, and if more current data comes out, I will update this list. There is one thing that I want to mention on this list that may not be included in every one of them, and that is affordability, as it is universal of why people love the thought of moving to Iowa. Keep that in mind during this list. Before we get to the top 5 states of people moving to Iowa, I want to mention 3 states that borderline could be in the top 5 before we go over the list. Those are Wisconsin, California, and Minnesota. In the oldest data, all the 3 of these states were on the top 5 list, but the most current data we're going by didn't have them on the list whatsoever. I could see Wisconsin missing the top 5 as of today, but I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota and California were both now in the top 5 like they were back in 2019. Now let's get to the top 5. Starting at number 5 is the Lone Star State of Texas. In 2021, approximately 4,300 people moved to Iowa from Texas. Why would anyone move from Texas to Iowa, you may be asking yourself? Well, I am sure that the traffic has a lot to do with it. If you live in the larger cities like Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, in fact, right now I have 2 potential clients moving to Iowa from the Dallas, Texas area because they don't like the traffic in the Dallas metro and the amount of people. In many ways, Iowa is attractive to people in these larger populated areas of the country. Also, the weather in Texas isn't for everyone, as some people miss the winter, believe it or not. The summers in Texas can be brutal as well, and let's not forget the fire ants and large bugs. With all this said, if you are someone who is considering Iowa as a place to live, make sure to contact us, as we specialize in helping people just like you relocate or move to this beautiful state. Our information is on the screen. We would love to help you make that smooth move to Iowa. Number 4 is the Cornhusker State of Nebraska. Nebraska seems to always be in the top 5 states of people relocating to Iowa. One of the reasons we believe this is so is because of job relocations and closeness of Nebraska, as it does border Iowa to the west. In 2019, nearly 7,000 people moved to Iowa, and in 2021, approximately 5,400 people moved to Iowa from Nebraska. With Nebraska typically voting red or Republican, Iowa has been leaning more and more red year in and year out recently. This means many of the residents in Nebraska aren't shocked when they move here, and the current demographic of Iowa leaning red. Number 3 is the Grand Canyon State of Arizona. In 2021, approximately 5,800 people moved from Arizona to Iowa. Arizona is one that is semi-shocking to me, at first at least, but it really shouldn't be, as Midwest people and many Iowans have vacation homes in Arizona. There is a term called snowbird in Iowa, and that means you live in Iowa for the warmer part of the year, typically late spring through late summer or early fall. Then live in the southern state like Arizona during the colder months in the late fall through the winter. I know some people in my own family that vacation there until retirement, and then they made it their permanent address. It makes sense that either they don't like it there and want to come back to Iowa, or have family back in Iowa that they end up moving back because of those reasons. We recently helped one couple move to Des Moines area this year because they were tired of the heat, and we're currently helping another couple move from Arizona as they are ready for less heat as well as peace and tranquility of Iowa. Number 2, is the Sunshine State of Florida. In 2021, approximately 6.6 thousand people moved from Florida to Iowa. Although Iowa can get hot and humid in the summer, people that reach out to us from Florida explain that they feel like all year round you can't get a break from the hot and humid weather. Also, many current residents of Florida told us that prices of homes are through the roof there, and the population has increased so quickly they are ready to come to a state like Iowa for the affordability and less people. If you're watching this video, you may be curious about more information on Iowa. Well, we did a video covering the cost of living in Iowa, showing just how affordable Iowa is. Make sure to watch that video as it is linked above when you are finished with this video. If you live in any of these states or have a reason you are considering moving to Iowa from your current state, leave them in the comments. It helps us and people considering moving to Iowa. We would love to hear your input. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you are notified each and every time we come out with a new video on the channel. All right, guys, we're now at number one, and it's almost always number one, and that is the home of Chicago or Illinois. In 2019, Illinois was number one by quite a margin with 10,294 people moving from Illinois to Iowa, and in 2021, approximately 7,800 people moved from Illinois to Iowa. The reason is pretty obvious if you ask me, and that is because one, Iowa is so close to Illinois, and number two is because Chicago, Illinois has tons of people. If you lean red, that may be a reason to get out of a hard blue state that Illinois is, or to have a less populated state to move to. Many of the jobs in Chicago also have offices in Iowa, and job relocation is huge from Illinois to Iowa. All in all, Illinois is always the biggest feeder of residents to Iowa.